Well, it looks cozy in here.
Really
nice and
pretty.
cabiny looking.
It is.
All right, guys, so we're here at the big RV event, and we wanted to talk about a subject that we thought would be really a great subject to talk with you guys about and discuss, and that is how to choose an RV, or how to choose an RV for your wants and wishes.
Yes.
So we have a few different things that we can go around and show you, points of interest for you guys to look at and consider when you're searching for your RV.
Yes, obviously your budget is going to be where you're going to start. Know how much you want to spend for what you want. And obviously the ranges are, it's $10,000 to $1 million. So,
Yeah.
I mean, everything in between.
Well, for example, if you got, say you have a budget of 15 to 20,000, then definitely consider the Coleman line, and they have a lot of different models to pick from. You also might want something very small to pull behind your Jeep. And that's where you can look at some of those small Colemans there, or the Kodiak Cub, for example.
And I mean, this could be an endless video, because we also like to say, if you're going to be doing state parks, they usually like 35 feet and under. So if you get a 42 footer, there's going to be some state parks you can't stay in. So be considerate of those kinds of things with sizing.
Yeah, and that really depends on the state park as
It
well,
does.
because we have been in several that have very large sites,
Yes.
but a lot of state parks are older and they have smaller sites. So that's
Yes.
the other thing to consider, is how big of an RV that you're comfortable having and getting back into some of these campsites and
Yes.
campgrounds, all right?
And really spend a lot of time on the outside. I know you're immediately wanting to go inside and check things out, and I don't blame you, but sometimes you really need to check out the size. It's difficult to tell when you're inside.
Yep.
Everything looks amazing and beautiful. The slides are out, there's lots of room, and that is a little deceiving as far as how much you actually can tow. So I'll let him talk about the towing, but that's a big one.
So we'll start with that right there, since Abby brought that up. Also, you always want to consider your payload, how many things you're gonna put in your units there. You know, all the equipment that you have, all of your clothes, all of your cookware, your kitchenware, and then also you have the tanks on board that you're gonna fill up with water occasionally too, depending on what kind of camping you're gonna be doing. We always like to keep some water in our tanks, because you want that emergency use. Like if you stop somewhere and you want to use the restroom in the camper, you need to have that water there. So you got to take consideration the weight of the water as part of your cargo capacity for each model. So just look into the cargo capacity whenever you're looking at the different units, okay?
Yes.
So we'll use this Coleman Lantern right here as an example of what we're looking at. So this particular model is 28.5 foot long. So this is a pretty good size unit. This is actually bigger than our Kodiak that we have. But you can see that the shipping weight, so this is going to be your dry weight, is 4,800, let's just call it 5,000 pounds. So this is easily towable with a half-ton pickup. If you got an F-150, you got a Ram 1500, you can easily pull a unit this size with a 1500 series pickup, all right? This is your cargo capacity. So you've got just over 2,700 pounds of cargo capacity, and that's going to include your water tank there as well. Okay, and everything that you put on board, and all your chairs and your tables. So
and your cast iron.
In my case, I have cast iron cookware, so there's a little give and take there.
There is.
You got to watch how much that you put on board and not overload, which is a very common issue with a lot of RVers, us included. We've been there, we've done that. Okay, so just something to consider when you're looking at your RVs is look at all this information right here, and make sure you're picking out something that's suited for what you're interested in doing.
And also the vehicle that you own or plan on buying.
Yep, exactly.
If you're going to tow.
Yes, I mean, you might have a smaller SUV. You need to find out how much towing capacity you have to be able to pull a trailer.
And then also, and I know you've already said this, you have to add those too, because it's, right? I mean, you have to, it's not just the dry weight, because you're never going to have it just empty.
Yeah.
So
your vehicle is going to have a maximum towing capacity, and that will be these guys right here.
Here's another thing to think of. This one has a slide that comes out on the passenger side, which means this is the side that you're going to sit in with your chairs when you're at the camp. This would interfere with a lot of things that we do, so this might not be the unit that we would choose.
Yep. Yeah, typically when you back into your campsite, this whole area is, I call it the outdoor living area. So your
Yes.
chairs and everything. So some of the models you look at will have a slide on this side, which kind of just takes away from some of that room.
So look at that too when you're keeping your list.
So this particular model of Kodiak, this is one of the ultimates. The power supply comes in on the back of the camper. This is something that a lot of people don't really think about when they're looking at their RVs, but you need to consider the location of the utilities. Now, all of our utilities, being the power and water supply, is on that rear corner over there. And I really like having all of those hookups in one place in the same area. The reason why I personally don't like the power plug on the back there is because, like on our unit, I have our cargo carrier back here with my, you know, my cooking supplies and
His
things like
barbecue
that.
kit, yep.
I don't want this being in the way behind that kit right there.
And for some
But-
people, it's not a deal breaker.
That's right,
So-
but some people aren't going to have something back here like
But
I
look
am.
at that.
But
Yep.
but you might be interested in this unit or a unit like this, and you want to put a bike rack back here. You see where the power cord's going in? So it's just something to consider. I'm not saying it's a bad thing,
Nope.
but just think about that, because this may not matter to you, but other people it might matter where it's at. So this is something that's very important to me and Abby, is having a good amount of storage. Now, this being your pass-through storage. And a lot of your Kodiaks, a lot of your models will have this size pass-through storage, but some of the models that have, say, a kitchen on the front or even the couch on the front, this is eliminated in a big way. Some of them only have a short cargo area here, but look at this, because like for our example, I have a few tables, you know, fold up tables, and I stack all these up in here. I have my cook stove and I have our chairs in here, and we have to have a big pass-through storage, okay? You may not have a bunch of things like we do. You might only have a couple of chairs. So when you're looking at your units, look at the outside storage areas and take that into consideration when you're looking at these RVs. Our Kodiak is a bumper pull travel trailer, and so obviously you can pick a travel trailer or the fifth wheel. And one of the reasons that we really love our travel trailer is that it still gives me access to the bed of our truck. I have the entire bed open for my cooler, for my pit barrel, charcoal, anything that we need to store, we can put it in the bed of the truck. When you're using a fifth wheel like this unit right here, some of that storage area is eliminated because you have the big fifth wheel attachment in the bed. Now, you typically still have some room around that you can put your things, but that's just one of those other things that you need to consider. Is that important to you? Is having that bed. Now, it's known that the fifth wheels have they're better pulling. You know, it's a little more stable than a bumper pull. So you have the benefits of a fifth wheel, but you lose some of that bed capacity in your pickup truck if you're using a fifth wheel. So just something else to consider when you're trying to weigh the option. Do I want to go with a travel trailer? Do I want to go with a fifth wheel?
This is something that I personally love
And I do too.
and look for, is I like the sturdy steps that sit directly onto the floor, not the accordion style, especially if you're older or have mobility issues at all.
Or
And
big
also-
folks like me.
Yep. Look for the handle. It's a huge difference versus a small one that's up against the door.
Some more things to consider when you're looking at RVs. All right, so we had talked earlier about your utility connections right here in one place. See, this is how our Kodiak is equipped. You have your power cord, you have your city water connection right there. This is going to be your flush. I like having these guys right here. But something else to look at is your sewer connections. This model has 2 sewer connections, just like our Kodiak. So you got one right here. And what I wanted to point out is that you can see that this is not underneath the slide right here.
Yes.
We have seen some other RVs. We have some in the family that are not Dutchmen. The sewer connection for the front is actually underneath the slide. And it's uncomfortable. You know, when you have to get down here, you have to get down underneath these guys to be able to hook that up and be able to pull the valve. That's uncomfortable. So look at where the sewer connections are, because it is a lot more convenient having it right here where you're not having to get underneath the slide, okay? We'll look at the one on the front here. This is just like ours. We have a gray tank in the front for our kitchen, and you can see there's another sewer connection right here. But you notice that it's not underneath the slide there. It's not inconvenient to get to. So take that in consideration. Let's look at one more thing. So all the Kodiaks are now equipped with the tankless on-demand water heaters. This is a big upgrade. from our unit. You know, we have the tank water heater, and there's nothing wrong with that. The cool thing about the tankless is that you kind of have endless amounts of shower, if that means something to you.
Which it does to you.
But it's also, it runs off of propane there as well, so you have to take that consideration. You're going to be using your propane. But there's something nice to be said about taking a nice long hot shower after you've had a long day of hiking or whatever. But this is just something that they have upgraded to all the Kodiaks, is the tankless on-demand water heaters. So check that out there as well. Our Kodiak, being an older model from 2019, has the manually operated screw stabilizer. So one of the things that they've updated to all the Kodiaks is they now have the motor-driven stabilizer jacks. If you look right here, you can see they have the motorized, so you have a switch right here for extend and retract. And that's something else to look for, is whether you want the manually operated one. I use a drill motor and a 3/4 socket and just stick it here and run it up and down. It works fine for me. But these are pretty nice, being that you don't necessarily have to stoop down here. Some people may not want to do that. Some people may not. It might
Be able to do that.
That's what I'm saying. So you can stand right here and hit a button to run the stabilizer jacks. But just remember, these are not to level your RV. These are only to stabilize it. You have to level it with the axles and the tires, get it level that way, and your jack on the front for front to back. These are just to stabilize the stability of the unit while you're using it.
Okay, we're finally inside. Let's talk about this. My number one thing before I do anything else is storage. It's something to easily just overlook when you go, oh my gosh, this is perfect, this is exactly what I wanted, and then you buy it and you have no place to put anything. So that's the first thing I check. The kitchen, we cook outside almost all the time, so a smaller kitchen for us is fine. A smaller amount of storage in the kitchen is fine. However, we have to have a pantry. So this is a coat closet, which I actually really like.
That's cool.
But this is their new pantry, and it's huge and I love it. So I personally think that if a person doesn't like their unit, more times than not, it's because of storage. So please think that through.
We had spoken earlier about you have to compromise somewhere with any RV that you're looking at.
Unless you have $5 million to spend, you're not going to get everything. And even then, I don't know if you're going to get everything. So it's a compromise, and that's okay. So you just sort of have to decide what's important for you. What's important for us may not be as important for someone else, but I think storage is important for everyone.
And talking about compromise, going into your next subject here.
Okay, so this one is the other thing. And I think it's really easy to just open the door and go, okay, that's nice. But you spend a lot of time in the bathroom. So I've said this before, give it a try. You gotta sit down and see if you bump your knees. I think this door is gonna hit me when I'm sitting here. So for me, this unit would be eliminated. And that's okay, there's a lot of units. So the other thing is open the shower, put your family, each of them, inside of it to make sure that you fit, that the door closes, and that you're comfortable and you can move around. This could eliminate a unit for you very quickly. Another thing too that I like to tell people is look for things that are awkward, that feel awkward. If you forget to close this door, you are gonna rip this thing off when this slide comes in. So I am clumsy, so I look for things like that. If it feels awkward to you, it's always going to be awkward. Don't buy one that's awkward.
We've been into several models that are not Dutchmen. We've been in some other models that sometimes these doors, the way they open up, they're like hitting into each other.
I mean, when you're walking around, when your husband's walking around in the morning, this is gonna bang because of stabilization. It's just the way it is. And so you gotta just kind of think those things through. If you don't have an air conditioned unit back here and the door is closed, it's going to get hot in here. That's another thing that I consider because I'm always sweating. So those are just sort of some of the things that I think you've got to be aware of when you're looking. Here we are in the bedroom. This is the queen size bed, which a lot of the units come with, and it's okay for a lot of people, but again, check your storage. This is going to be where your clothes go. Are you the kind of person that can only have this many shirts? You got to decide, because this is not enough for me. But we have all this up here, which is very useful and for baskets and things like that. So you just have to keep that in mind. The other thing is he has a CPAP, and we have a table for ours, a little jet out.
Ours, the shelf goes a little further out right here, so it can sit here.
But these new models have a shelf, but some of the king size, you know, they don't have a place for his CPAP to go. So we're going to make a decision based off of that. And honestly, those plugs for your phone, awesome. Check those out because they're starting to do that a lot more. But I was going to make a point, but I think we need to do it in the other room.
Okay.
So Adam and I both work while we're in our camper. And one of the things that I like to also look for is that there is a place to plug in your laptop to charge your computer when you're working. Some of the units don't have that. Obviously you can do an extension cord, but we try to eliminate trip hazards. So look for that in the units as well.
This model right here, one of the Kodiak ultralights, has a receptacle right down there.
Am I blocking it?
Yep, you are now.
Yep.
So there's your receptacle. That's something that I look at every single time we go in a unit. I see, is there a power receptacle here that you can plug into so you can operate your laptops and charge your phones right here at the dining table. So that is an excellent feature to take consideration when you're looking at the dining areas.
Yes, correct.
So those are some of the subjects that we think that you guys should consider whenever you're searching for your RV. Think about things like your vehicle, your towing capacity, how heavy a unit is, and then start considering those other things that we talked about on how it's equipped. The functionality, where things are located, storage, bathroom size. I know us just said storage, but do you have pass-through storage for all your things that's going to go outside?
You really got to look. I mean, it's really exciting to go in these units. They're so different. They're all just, you know, the layouts are totally different and you're not sure what you're going to want or like. But go in a lot of units, open up all the drawers, see how the construction is. Like, just do your homework and choose what it is that's right for your family. That's the number one thing.
But we're just trying to share some helpful tips for you guys that are shopping for RVs, especially first-time buyers.
Yes.
Because we all have family that have gone and chosen an RV that ended up having some things that they didn't like after the fact.
Yes.
After they brought it home, they realized, oh man, you know what? I didn't even look to notice that sewer connection was underneath the slide.
Yes. And that would have been a deal breaker, maybe for a couple of people. So I think just take your time, go look at it several times, really, really get in there and live your life. Sit in the chair, you know, feel that it's comfortable, lay, you can replace the mattress, so don't lay in the bed, but you know.
And that's why coming to one of these big RV shows like this is great, because you get to see almost every model that they make is out here represented. I believe they do this show in Tampa as well.
They do.
So they have a few. So just look them up and then go. But you can certainly go to a dealership there as well and look at it. But at a dealership, you're going to be limited on how many models that they have for each particular manufacturer.
And don't let them talk you into something you don't want. You can do your homework. You can go to other places, call and get help on something else. So don't settle. There's no reason to settle. I mean, you're going to have to compromise. There's just no way around it. But you can still get everything that you want. And a lot of things are going to end up being even better than you thought.
Yep.
So I hope this was helpful.
I do too. Hopefully it was helpful for you when you're picking out your RV. And definitely come and check out all of the Dutchman models, because they make a lot of great RVs to pick from. Don't forget, they have their Voltage. They have the Astoria. If you're into toy haulers, the Voltage line has a lot to offer.
Yes.
All right, guys.
This was fun.
Yeah, this was fun. We enjoy coming through. We were excited about we come up with these topics that we're like, we want to talk about this stuff and try to help.
And we're going to sound like super nerds.
But that's gonna be it for this right here. We're gonna go and check out the entire event now. We want to see what else is out here, see all the cool new stuff, and just have some fun for the rest of the day. Hopefully you guys enjoy.